Hello, I'm Kat Curry-Williams.
And I'm Radin.
And this is Wine, Women, and Chocolate.
And we are joined for the second part of our interview with Steve Porcaro and Tara Branham. Hello.
Hi there.
And here's to getting everybody's name correctly.
Cheers. Cheers. It takes a village sometimes.
It does. And I'm behind this beautiful bottle of Zinfandel.
By Baca.
Oh, Double Dutch. Yeah, I used to do Double Dutch when I was a kid. Remember that? The jump rope?
Absolutely.
I didn't do it so well, but I liked it, and now I like the wine.
Yes, this is delicious. Thank you, Baca, for sending us this delicious wine. We love it.
Cheers to that.
We want to start this episode because we spent so much time hearing about Steve and your amazing, illustrious career. And then we heard a lot about your relationship. But Tara, tell us how you first came to Los Angeles.
I came out here in 97 to go to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, which was then based in Pasadena. And went through my first year and had a great, successful year. And the Pasadena Playhouse gave me a scholarship for my second year. Getting into that
was hard.
It was, yeah. You have to audition for it. You can't, you don't just enroll. You have to get in. So, yeah, I was becoming sort of the darling of the school. They wanted me to be their face at functions and stuff. And so I was having this great success. But when the first year ended, I just couldn't get out of bed. I would go for a walk. I had bruises up and down my body. I would come close to passing out after taking a shower. So I finally went to my chiropractor and said, I'm not feeling well. Something's wrong with me. And he said, why don't you just go get a blood test? And so I went and got a blood test, and he said, you got to go directly to the emergency room. Directly. He said, there's something wrong. There's something really wrong with your white blood cell count. It's so high. So I was living in Pasadena, so I went to Huntington Hospital.
You were by yourself? Your family is still in...
No, I have a sister out here. And in fact, that day I went to lunch with my sister. And my boyfriend at the time took me to the hospital. And it was one of those, like, classic, how triage nurses can be, a little bit... stoic is a nice word. You know what I mean? So I was just this young woman, and she's like, well, so what, you don't feel good? And I said, yeah, and here are my, test results. Because you look so
beautiful, and I'm sure that,
And this is 23 years ago, and so I was younger, and she was probably thinking, what could be so wrong with you? And then she looked through my blood results, what I didn't know, and now I know how horrible that was. She said, these are your results? And I said, yes. And she said, do you want a warm blanket? Oh. And I was like, okay, sure. And I didn't know they had that secret warm blanket thing in the hospital. So then it ended up that I had a very, very aggressive form of leukemia. And I needed a bone marrow transplant immediately. Wow. And so I ended up at City of Hope, and my brother Shane was my donor. I matched two siblings, my sister Shannon and my brother Shane, and then my sisters Tracy and Kelly matched each other. So we thought, we're all covered. If anybody needs a bone marrow transplant again in the family, everybody's covered. So my acting career it was over. It was over. It was just, I recovered as much as I'm going to recover. I have a condition in my bones that, because of the radiation, all the steroids, I've had every joint I can replaced. I just never got to the point. I know what is required to be an actor. I know what you have to have, and I never regained that. So, but what I did do finally is, I never thought I'd be on stage again, but I wrote my show. So then I can control the narrative. I could control how much work I put into it, how much time, how much physical energy I could give to it. So it was a brilliant thing to do, because I was able to get back on stage and do what I love, but really just, and also be me and tell the story and tell it in narrative and through dialogue, and it's also funny. It's not just, and then I had radiation. No, it's told. There's got to be humor. You got to lift people up. It can't just be.
It's a human experience. It's authentic human experiences. they're not lost on people when, people say, oh, I wonder why that was, because it's an authentic human experience. What was the name of your show?
It was called Other Than That, I'm Fine. And that's what my doctor used to say to me. He would go through the list of everything that was going to happen to me. All your skin's going to peel off. You're going to have just sores in your mouth. He would just go through the list of the bad stuff that was going to happen. But he'd say to me after every single time, but other than that, you're fine. And really what he was saying to me is, you're following... You really are. There are no red flags. This is a horrible experience, but you're not outside the lines here. So he would always say to me, other than that, you're fine. And so that was the name of it.
That's great.
Right?
That's great. And today, how are you feeling?
I feel great.
Cheers
great.
to
I
that.
always do.
Cheers to that.
I'm always happy, and I always feel great.
Right? We know
Cheers.
happiness is something we have to work at. It's a choice.
And what worked for you during that time?
It started out, I was with a Korean acupuncturist who spoke zero English. But he would say, he had one English phrase, he would say, no pain, no gain. But
From the needle acupuncturist? Because I love acupuncture, but they're not all painful.
No, but I'm okay with that. I was really okay with that.
Okay.
I understood what he meant, that I had to move forward. But he also said, I want you to tell yourself 100 times a day, I'm a happy woman. And I'll tell you, I wasn't.
Right.
I had tubes coming out of my chest for the first year. I was I was a mess. But I would just take my bath and, I am a happy woman. I am a happy woman on my fingers. And I didn't feel it, but I said it.
He said that.
I said it, and it did. I know that it informed my cells, and it was a practice, and I am a happy woman.
You say it still?
No, I don't need to. I don't need to. I believe it. I know it.
I am that I am.
Yeah.
And I am a happy woman.
Yeah, exactly.
When you were going through this period, I imagine it was several years. Who was here helping you and taking care of you? Your sister? You had one sister here? Or?
I had one sister here. My boyfriend at the time was a real champion. So I got to give him props for that, but definitely my sister.
Yeah.
And we lived, when I was in the hospital, my family moved me to the apartment building that she was in, so I was just 2 floors above her. So we were in the same apartment building.
Oh, okay.
So she could really help.
And you decided to stay here rather than go because the doctors were here, and
Exactly.
this was the hub of better care.
Absolutely. My oncologist is such a rock star and so beloved at City of Hope. And oh God,
City of Hope
wouldn't.
is just the place.
Yes, exactly. It truly is. So I stayed here because. Yes, I knew I would get the proper care, but it was safety. I wanted to feel safe.
Well, for you to feel safe away from home, that in itself is courage.
You did go back to Michigan at some point for a while. What was the catalyst that made you decide to go back?
The boyfriend that helped take care of me, we married and then divorced.
Okay. And so you said, I'm going home.
Okay, so here's to do-overs.
Yes,
absolutely. That's not a problem.
No. Cheers.
It's all within grace if you look at it that leads you to there. I hope it wasn't a bad divorce.
No.
I mean, because those are not fun.
No, it wasn't. It was okay.
But
everything was okay.
We do have some chocolates that we have placed right in front of Steve that he has been eyeing.
Right.
So I think we need to let him try them and pass.
Perfect.
Okay. So, and these are from where, Catherine?
This is C's candy, and they're fresh off the
Off the boat.
The boat. Yes, I went yesterday, and I always say. These are all nuts and so on. I don't know what this one is, but I'll have one of those.
I'm going for the English toffee because that's always my favorite.
See, there you go.
Always my favorite.
But I always said, and when I was pregnant, I would go in there to eat these because I'm like, they're healthy for you. I needed chocolate, and they had nuts. So it was protein. This is an almond one. Sugar. What did you get? Almond or walnut?
It was almonds. Delicious.
Yeah, I got
Cheese is so. I mean, when you get to California, or if you're from California, you just know that C's Candy is the end-all, be-all of chocolate.
Do you know someone just told me that in New York there's a store. Now, I travel back and forth to New York a lot, and I always bring C's with me so I can win everybody's favor. Chocolate, wine from California and C's.
Sure.
Nice.
And then someone just told me that, my brother-in-law. And I was like, well...
That ruins everything.
Yeah, now I have to bring everything from Solvang because they don't have Amber's chocolate there. But I love C's, so it gave me a chance every time to go in there and get a free sample.
Right.
And it's always an almond, dark almond.
Wait a
Go ahead,
second,
pass
they
it.
have
That really
C's
tastes like it was
now?
right off the assembly line.
Right. It's really fresh.
Yeah. And I love that at the holidays there's always a line. I never go in when there's a line, but it just makes me happy to see that there's a line for C's
Always.
Candy.
Always.
And now we have to lick our fingers because we lost napkins. But
Ooh.
back with chocolate. The old M&M. I mean M&Ms.
Now, why did you put M&Ms out with all of these fabulous chocolates?
Because I want to give our props to our M&Ms. You.
Every now and then an M&M. I learned this from her sister too. You know,
Oh yeah.
peanut M&Ms are they work.
They
Right.
do.
You
They,
know, they work.
I set M&Ms out for every party, and people eat them. People always eat them.
Now, I almost bought big bags with. Oh, there's my New York accent. Oh, thank you.
Bags.
Big bags of M&M because they have different styles. There's peanut. There's dark. There's.
And you know they melt in your mouth, not in your hand. By the way.
I have heard that before.
You know, and it's such a lovely thing because if you don't have a napkin, like thank you, these just appeared, and it says my
Magically.
doctor says I need glasses, and these are my favorite napkins.
These are my favorite glasses.
And you could see how this goes really well with wine, and this Zinfandel with this chocolate.
Really good.
It's kind of perfect.
Steve, you have to have how do we say Ferrer's or
Ferrero Rocher.
Rocher?
Yes.
Roger? Oh.
because and you can have one and you can have one, but those go really good with. There's something magical about those. So sometimes I will, and I like dark chocolate mostly now, which thought my mother
good
was
for you.
crazy when I was little. I was like, that's medicine. But that you can eat it in 3. You don't have to pop the whole thing in your mouth. And sometimes I'll take one of those upstairs with me as my treat after. I'll have maybe a little wine, but I'll take one, and it just completes. It's crunchy and it.
Texture.
Oh, texture! It's all about texture. Yeah. Okay.
Cheers
It
to
is all
that.
about cheers to that.
Cheers
We
to that.
find
Cheers to
other
that.
things.
There's texture.
That's to me what. Okay, so chocolate means to you. We don't have to.
We find
we'll
anything
get
to toast to.
You know, hello. It's called Wine Woman and Oh no,
Wine Women and Toasting.
Toasting.
It's
But
almost time
texture
for
is
Cat's
a big deal.
Quickies.
Cat's Quickies.
Yeah.
So what's the first question? Because we can ask Steve of that because
That's right.
we're right on chocolate.
Well, you have to choose one, but I think we already know the answer, which is white, milk, or dark chocolate.
Milk, then dark.
Okay?
Not a big
and
white guy.
Tara,
Dark and then milk.
dark, and then and neither of you are going white.
No.
All right.
you know,
I don't mind it. But
You know what? The Godiva white with raspberry. When I was a kid, white chocolate, that's my first memory of chocolate because my dad would send me chocolate to camp in a care package. What's your first, I'm going to ask you this. What is the wine, when you think of wine, what feeling comes to you or what thought? Is that the good question comes to you when we talk about wine? Because we asked him about chocolate. We're gonna ask
good food.
Steve, what thought or word comes to mind when you hear the word women?
Goddess.
Oh.
keeper. Comes to my head right there.
And what about chocolate?
Goddess.
I knew that was coming.
There you go.
And what about you when you hear chocolate?
I thought you were going to give me women. Lust. Lusty.
And then
That's because for me it's a metaphor and it's permission to indulge. Because when I was a kid, I thought they say here's your cake, but you want to eat it too? Like when I first heard that saying, and they said, you want your cake and eat it too? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
For sure, right?
why would that
No,
be?
there's a real comfort thing for me with chocolate. There's a real, you know what I mean? I mean, if I was being completely honest, it's especially during the pandemic, and especially as I'm not letting myself have as much. Now, when I let myself have sweets, it feels like a hug. You know, it gives me comfort in a very, very real way for me.
Yeah, no, that is.
I like that.
That is true, and all through the ages of denial and so on. Scott always says to me, if you were told not to have liver, even if you don't like it, I would want liver. Like
Right.
denial does not work for me. Like okay, I
Sure.
can't have it.
No,
That's
you
not-
want it.
No, I want it.
All right, now for each of you, we have a question. We'll start with Steve. Who is one woman that you would like to give a shout out to today for helping to make you the person that you are today?
My daughters, both of them, Nikki and Heather.
And
And of course, Mom and my
of course,
sister.
Mom and your sister. Well, all of them.
You know, really. Yeah.
I like that.
Well, if you wanted to shout out one for a reason, you can give us a reason.
It would have to be Mom.
Okay.
I was very close to my mom, and still am.
Yeah.
Still am, yes.
Well, that's
She gave me my sense of humor, and, we've always been on the same page for the most part.
Oh, that's a gift.
And I gave her a horrible time when I was a kid. I was, you know what I mean? I really put her through the mill when I was trying to, when I went through those
Individuate,
years.
that word. Oh, individuate. Oh,
Yeah, when I went through those,
You're not there yet.
those years, I was really tough on her. Really. So,
And what's your mom's name?
Aileen.
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 We toast to Aileen.
Yes.
Cheers,
There's a good woman.
Aileen.
There we go. You got to do that.
And Tara,
Okay.
it's your turn.
I'm sorry, I can't pick one woman. I have to pick my sisters. I
Okay.
have 3 sisters. That's it. I was the youngest in the family. I have my brother is the next oldest, but then I have 3 older sisters.
And their names?
Shannon, Tracy, Kelly.
2.
Shannon.
STK.
I know who they are. They know why.
We're grateful to you. And thank you so much. This has been
So lovely.
it's a great episode because we're really, feeling our just our passion and the simplicity and the bigness of life. And Robin, a little bit about you. Answer that question. Who would you shout out to? Who's the woman in your life that you would shout out to? And then we're going to close down this episode with that.
I would probably say my mother too, because she showed real strength in a time when she could have really collapsed under pressure of a divorce and not being, a working woman at the time, and she, sort of got herself together and raised 3 kids on her own, and put us through school and did it all on her own. And she gave me a work ethic that I didn't prior to that have, and she showed grace under pressure and strength that I didn't know she had. So yeah,
Well,
shout out
to
my
your
mom.
Yes.
Barbara.
Barbara. To Barbara.
Yeah.
To Babs.
To Barbara. Because you're the executive producer. You make all this happen, and Brian makes all this happen. And I'll drink to
Yo,
Brian
Brian.
as well.
Yeah,
to Brian.
And I think that's going to wrap us up for today.
Does that mean I have to stop eating chocolate?
No.
Never stop eating
This
chocolate.
means you can take your chocolate home and eat it gingerly in the not gingerly. You don't have to eat it gingerly. I usually give myself 2, 3 to eat. Like I'm like, I haven't eaten anything else today that's bad. It's good balance. It's Ayurvedic. When you're having your whole balance, your with your doshas. I don't know if you know that.
I don't know what that means.
That means that we need pungent, and we need sweet, and we need savory. And usually I find that if I don't have that, a little bit of sweet, it doesn't work, especially after a meal, even if it's just a little bit of something. And so I go back to, well, thank you, Deepak Chopra, who taught me about doshas and Ayurveda, and and now I feel good about my chocolate.
There you go.
So,
Yeah.
Good.
okay. Well, we'll wrap up and
Yeah. We'll see everyone next time.
yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
1016 Entertainment.